Howdy do, fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 199.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
I'm the Doctor. This is Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Is that all right?
That would be me.
Hello. Surprise!
Boom.
Etc.
I'm the Doctor. Do everything I tell you. Don't ask stupid questions. And don't wander off.
How can you kidneys? I don't like the colour.
Hey, Who fans, hope you've all had a cracking week. And you've managed to do something Doctor Who related. Big apologies for last week. That's my fault yet again. Busy, worky, crappy, lifey, crap work stuff to get done.
Blimmin' work.
Yes.
Why do we have to work?
I know, mate.
Otherwise, I suppose if we didn't work, we couldn't afford all these TARDIS toys that we've got.
Well, that's a good point, yeah. If we didn't work,
that I've got.
The shelves would be just a few little ornaments of ducks or swans or
Trinkets.
little trinkets of rubbishness.
Mm. Actually, that's the point. Have you, because I know you don't really collect the figures and stuff, but were you tempted by that B&M TARDIS that everyone's been going mad about?
No.
Because obviously I was.
No.
But didn't issue. I thought that might have gone on your shelf.
No.
If you could find one.
Well, yeah, it's been in a couple of things have been floating around the socials this week that have been a wee bit controversial.
Yeah.
Should I say? Yeah, but we'll come on to that in a second. But coming up in today's show, a couple of news bits, and then a whole raft of awesome merch and merch announcements.
Yes, got some good stuff.
And one not so good.
One not so good. Oh,
I'll let you decide on.
hang on. We're going to have to look at the list now and see which is it. Which is the one he's saying is not so good. Okay, you've added that on since I looked at the list. Is that the one you're on about? Yeah. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute then. Gary's just added something onto the list that wasn't there before. Yes. And it'll be something that I'll want, but he won't.
It'll be funny.
Yeah.
New listeners who have jumped on board recently, waving from behind the mic, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. Myself and Adam are here every week. Ironically, we weren't here last week, but that was my fault. But generally speaking, we are here every week, every Friday, running down the latest Doctor Who news and merch and so on. And then we do a review each week that we pick out from the list. And these days we're rotating, we're going through Doctor Who, new and classic, and Torchwood and Sarah Jane adventures. And this week is Sarah Jane, the Lost Boy. We'll be on to that later.
Yeah.
Returning listeners, welcome back. Hope you've had a cracking week. And that you've watched Adam's YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've told you, I've been working so hard behind the scenes. I've been whacking loads of videos out lately, haven't I?
It's
like making up for lost time.
Yeah, it's like a good old terrestrial TV channel. It's like upcoming programming from the Geek Sandbag.
I know, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Very, very cool. So the second Doctor, Robert Harrop figure review is very good.
Yes, yeah, thanks.
Appreciate your honesty in that one as well.
Yeah.
Some reviewers on YouTube, not just Doctor Who, but could be anything. I watch a lot of Star Wars reviews as well, unboxings and so on. Sometimes you do get the feeling that it's a little bit, everything's amazing. You know, everything that a certain company puts out is the best thing since sliced bread. And
whereas what's that thing? Everything is awesome. What's that Lego thing?
That song from the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Everything's, yeah. But no, I appreciate your reviews, mate, because you say how it is. You know, it's Well,
I try and be like us. Yeah, I try and be like the podcast. I try and find good and bad in everything because, most products, there's very rarely something that's really, really bad or really, really good. So I try and find a balance, if you like.
Yeah.
That's what I try and do.
No, it's good, mate. I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying that because, we work on this together or you're sat virtually in front of me. I say it with honesty. It's your reviews are very good. And then you had the Sonic.
Yeah, the Sonic. Yeah. It was interesting, that one, because my opinion of the Sonic itself, as you know, has sort of changed quite a bit because I really didn't like it at all when I first saw it. And this new toy that's been released of it is a mixed bag, isn't it? Because it's sort of they've got the shape right, but then it's just been rushed out, basically, isn't it? It's got buttons that don't do anything, and there's no sort of paint apps on it. It's just silver, and I don't know. It could. I get the feeling it'll get a re-release, and it'll probably be a lot better. But this feels to me a bit like a prototype, the new Sonic. If you know what I mean. But I still kind of like it. I don't know. I've got it on the shelf, and I still pick it. There's something about a toy that lights up and makes a sound. It just, even I'm still getting used to it, but I still something about it I like, even though I don't like it. If that makes sense, it's a real Marmite release, that one. Yeah.
No, you took the words out of my mouth, mate. To me, it looks like a prototype because The thing for me is the dud button on it.
It really annoys me, that.
What's the deal with that? It's you either take it off. I mean, there must have been some sort of production hiccup that happened sort of part way through because it was obviously there for a reason, wasn't it? And my guess is that they didn't have time to fully get the little spinning bit at the end working.
Yeah, like the US one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that button's for that. But because there was a hiccup with production somewhere, it's too late to go back and change all the molds to not do the button. So they'll just ship it and just... There's not even any explanation in the instructions, I suppose, is there?
No, it just calls it a dummy button. And I'm like, it's just like, just by saying that, it makes it all okay. It's like, that's a dummy button. That's meant to be there, but it has no reason to be there. It's it really annoys me, that button.
Yeah. It's character options. It's weird because they for a lot of things, they're very, very good at what they do.
Yeah, they've done some good stuff in the past, I must admit. I mean, I was saying about these new B&M sets, and they're made for to be a budget product, so you don't expect it to be that high in quality because they're there especially for B&M stores. So, but I do like the new TARDIS. I have to say, this TARDIS that's been selling for silly money on eBay. And actually, stores are starting to get quite a lot of stock of it now. So those people that have paid like couple of £100 for it are probably going to walk in and see. Like I'm seeing, even this morning I saw a picture of I don't know what store it was, and they just had a whole shelf of TARDISes on there, all for $19.99, the price it should be. So that's the thing, I suppose. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you kind of don't want to miss the boat, but also you've got the chance of being ripped off because it seems like there's loads of them now. It's a bit like this season 12, the Tom Baker Blu-ray set. A lot of fans are really upset they didn't manage to get it because there's confusion over, it's basically sold out. But I'm assuming it'll be reissued in just standard packaging. I think the limited edition was just the limited box, but I'm hearing conflicting reports because some people are saying, no, that's it. It was just a limited run. It's gone. And other people are saying, no, they're going to, just because there was problems with the disc, they're repressing it. It'll be released in standard packaging. So I don't know. So again, fans are like sort of panicking a little bit because they want that limited edition packaging, quite rightly, but it's like £200 on Amazon. It's like, what? From third-party sellers sort of thing. So, it's difficult, isn't it? Do you wait or do you spend a bit more to make sure you get these things? And it always seems to be that if you spend a bit more to get it, it then annoyingly becomes available everywhere.
Yeah.
But then if you think, it's okay, they'll reissue it or there'll be more, there isn't. It's always like, it's very difficult to judge.
Some crazy pricing for that on Amazon at the minute, the Amazon.co.uk site. So obviously it's sold out from brand new at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's 3 different buying options. So 2 of them are brand new. The first one's £150. The second one's £440. And the third one is £500 on the button, but it's used.
Oh, what? Don't be silly.
It's crazy. Used, but apparently it's like new. So that's all right.
Yeah, well, that's all right then. I was going to say, I know while I was away the weekend, I saw a few tweets. People were saying, oh, my replacement discs have arrived, because 2 of the discs in the set had errors on them, which the BBC, to be fair to them, were quite quick to pick up and say they'd replace. And so that's all good. But what's not so good is those people who have received the replacement discs, only one of them has been amended. So the second disc is exactly the same with all the errors. And so apparently what's happened is they've repressed the faulty disc again instead of the replacement. So it's all a bit. So in other words, they're now sending out replacement discs for the replacement discs. So it's all a bit of a, up. So yeah, that's a bit annoying. I haven't received mine. I think it's because they've realised and they've stopped sending them out until they get the correct discs.
Oh, that must be the same for me then, because I was wondering when they were going to arrive. So,
well, I expected them to be waiting in the post box when I got back, because I'd seen people had got them. I was like, oh, good, those replacement discs will be waiting for me when I get back. And they weren't. But now I know why, because they've sort of realised and thought,
what's going on?
Oh, how difficult is it? I hope we don't have this with the next release, but yeah. Hopefully they'll spend a bit more time on them.
It's the interns running the show again.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, those B&M figures, I saw loads of tweets with people saying how frustrated they were. And what was more annoying was, I think there were a few people who had bought like 50 boxes from various different B&M stores. And then just to rub it in a little bit, they took photos of, all packed up, from the floor, like 6 foot high, where they've gone round to loads of different B&M stores and just bought the lot. And then they just took a photo, popped it on Twitter. It's like, yay, I'm stockpiling.
I bought them all. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know.
I was losing my shizzle over that. I tell you, when I was getting really cross about that, seeing people buying up all the stock and then seeing the prices they were selling them for on eBay, and I was like, just give the fans a chance to get one for the price it should be first before you go and buy them. I was getting really cross about that, and yeah, there was people out there just buying up all the stock, like you said, and then just posting pictures to say, look, I've got there was one guy, I think he bought 20 TARDISes and 5 or 10 of each figure set, and he just put a picture of it all lined up on the floor, and I was like, what is the point of that?
I know.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, it happens a lot, doesn't it, with various different Doctor Who merch. Normally the special edition vinyl releases, they normally get bought up, and then you'll see them on eBay within hours of, 4 times the price and whatnot. So in a way, it's you can't argue with people's sort of what's the word? The sort of ingenuity for making money. So on that hand, it's like, well, if people are going to pay it, then that's it. But on the other hand, the moral part of it is a bit, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was going to say, I think I saw sort of with the B&M sets, for example, I think I saw the sort of best side of fandom and the worst side, really. So sort of the worst side, sort of going around buying them all up. And some people do these custom TARDISes as well. So they were buying like 3 or 4 and then they go and break them into pieces and repaint them to make like the 5th Doctor TARDIS. And I'm like, okay. But I would rather they just let people get their hands on them first before they go and buy up 5 or 6, if you know what I mean. But then I saw the best side of fandom. I had quite a few people tweeting me saying, I know you're desperate to get hold of the TARDIS. I've managed to find a store. Do you want me to get you one and all that? And I was like, that's really kind. And so, it hasn't arrived yet, but somebody has managed to get one for me. So, there's good and bad. As I said, I think with the B&M sets, it sort of brought out the best and the worst in fandom, really. Because I saw other people saying that as well. They're like, I can get them and send them to you for the same price as they were on the shelf with postage if you want. And I thought, well, that's really good. So it's good to see fandom helping each other out with them as well.
Cool.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. I saw quite a few tweets doing that as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Also, McCoy and Sophie Aldred celebrated their birthdays this week.
Yes. I know, it's funny they've got the birthday on the same day, isn't it?
That's crazy.
That's strange.
A happy accident.
Yeah. And they're one of my favourite TARDIS teams as well. I love Seven and Ace. I think they're brilliant together. Yeah.
Sylvester McCoy, he's 75 now.
Is he really? Blimey.
Yeah. 75 years old. Still going strong.
He's looking very sprightly. Yeah.
He is, isn't he? How old's Sophie Aldred?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I would say a bit younger, 40s?
56.
56, there we go.
The pair of them are still going strong, looking very well.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's time to do some news. Shall we land it and do the news?
Okay.
So not last week, because we weren't here, the week before last, we reported that the Doctor Who Appreciation Society was running a new plan to get one of the blue heritage plaques put up at the, where was it? Ealing Studios, wasn't it?
Ealing, yeah.
Yeah, to honour William Hartnell. And they said at the time that they would announce various fundraising schemes and whatnot to get that off the ground, because it's clearly not the cheapest thing in the world to get done. And the first thing that they've kicked off with is an eBay auction. An eBay on auction? The first thing they've kicked off with is an auction on eBay.
That's the one.
That's the one. Where they're putting on for sale a bunch of newly released colour postcards and a bunch of re-released A2-sized posters. Which I have to say, some of them look freaking awesome.
I'm just flicking through them now, and actually, yeah, there's a Cyberman head one, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's kind of a decayed sort of Earthshock style Cyberman head.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Actually, I don't know who's done that artwork, but
it's very very cool.
Yeah.
So I think there's 8 different postcards that you can buy or collect, and they range from, I think the postcards are $5.99 each. And then the posters, I'm not sure how much the posters are, but some of those look really, really cool.
Yeah, these are really nice. There's a good Jodie one, actually, as well. I don't know if that's a poster or postcard. Oh, dear, although it's got the wrong TARDIS. Oh, no. But it's a nice postcard, but it's got the St. John's ambulance badge on it, so... Exactly. Minus,
you've got to be careful
for that. You've got to be careful with these things. But yeah.
So it's very cool though, because it's like the kickoff thing. It's one of a few things I'm assuming they're going to be doing to get the money in place to get it sorted. And it's they just look really cool. Aside from odd little niggle, but they're very cool. That Cyberman head one that you just mentioned. Looks very, very cool.
There's a couple on there I really like. There's a Dalek one, which is very much sort of reminds me of the Target style books cover, which is good. And then there's like a Dalek Invasion Earth type one as well. So yeah, these do look good. I'm going to have a look and might pick some of these up, because I love the fact they're doing this plaque for Hartnell. So it's a good way to put some money towards it and get something cool out of it at the same time, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, it's very nice.
And sorry, they're not $5.99 each. It's $5.99 for the set of 8 postcards.
Oh, really?
In a
even better.
Yeah. So I think the one that you mentioned is called Cybermen Celestial Toy Room cover.
Ooh.
By Colin Brockhurst.
Well, I like it. Well, that's even better then. If it's $5.99 for all of them, that's awesome.
And I've just noticed the name on here. The 13th Doctor, the one we just mentioned, is by somebody called Kevin Mullen.
Name rings a bell.
I know that name. It could be. Is it the same Kevin Mullen that we have various chats with throughout the week on Facebook? One of our listeners, Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
Because he does a lot of artwork and digital 3D stuff. So well done, Kev, if that's you, mate.
Very nice.
Very nice. Well, there you go. So if you want to support the Hartnell Heritage Plaque stuff, then we'll put a link in the show notes, but just jump over to the Doctor Who Appreciation Society website, or on eBay. Just do a search for Doctor Who postcards, DWAS or something like that. You'll find them. But it's a good way to support the cause.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. In other news, we've had a raft of Series 11 writers and directors who have just been announced for Series 11. And actually, although the names don't mean anything to me yet, just looking through some of their back back catalogue of work, they sound like really good. They sound like that. It's very promising. Let's put it that way. So Chris Chibnall says, we have a team of writers who have been working quietly and secretly. He loves his secrets, doesn't he? For a long time now, crafting characters, worlds, and stories to excite and move you. A set of directors who stood those scripts up on their feet, bringing those ideas, visuals, and emotions into existence with bravado and fun, he says. So there's quite a lot here. As I said, I don't know if the names will mean anything, but people like Mallory Blackman, who's written over 60 books for children, and her book Pig Heart Boy was adapted for a BAFTA-winning 6-part TV serial. Ed Heim was nominated for a BAFTA for his first episode of Skins. Do you remember Skins, Gary?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Skins. Vinay Patel's television debut, Murder by Father, won the 2016 Royal Television Society Award. So there's Pete McTighe, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, did the female prison drama and was sold in over 150 countries. Joy Wilkinson was selected for International Star of Tomorrow. So all these writers, as I said, the names for me don't mean anything, but it sounds like they're doing good. There's lots of awards and nominations going on here. So it sounds like Chibbers has managed to get together quite a good selection of writers. And also a load of great directors by the sounds of it. So Sally, now how are we saying this? Abrahaman?
Yep.
Says she has memories of Doctor Who going right back to the 60s. So I don't know if she's going to bring her that 60s magic back. That'd be cool. Jamie Childs, who directed Jodie Whittaker's Reveal, which was quite a big thing. He's returning for an episode of the new series. Jennifer Perrott, who wrote, directed and produced the award-winning short film The Ravens. She's directing one. And Mark Tonderia.
Tonderia.
That's the one. He's been announced as another director, and what's he done? He's done some good stuff. I can't read it from here, but yeah. So again, all of these, when you look through their sort of back catalogue of work, they all sound like very accomplished writers and directors. So it looks like Chibbers has got some good people on board for Series 11.
It does.
It does. Yes.
A lot of new names as well.
Yeah, I don't recognise their names, but I think they'll become names that we do become familiar with, I reckon.
Absolutely, yes. So that's going to do for news. A couple of cool bits there. Time for merch. Shall we get our metal buddy and see what he's moody about this week?
Yeah, it looks like he's got quite a full tray. Let's get him in.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
No, nothing.
No, not even a bleep.
Not even a threat. Sometimes he gets a bit above his station.
Yeah. It's because he had a week off. You see, he's got too relaxed.
He has.
That's what it is.
Sometimes the old weapon starts to rise up as if it's going to aim for my face.
I told you ought to take that off him, actually. Yeah. A bit like the Genesis Dalek, just have a hole there.
Well, I think we're going to have to do that because more and more on our street, we've noticed that the neighbours' cats are going missing. So I'm just expecting to see a singed cat corpse in the bush somewhere. He's got bored.
Don't. That's terrible. I'm sure Dalek Tat wouldn't do that. I'm sure he wouldn't.
Well, if he knows what's good for him, he wouldn't.
He's reformed.
You have to go back to dishing out some backhanders. Although that does hurt.
He's laughing at you through these. I can see him laughing at you behind you. His little lights are going.
Yeah, he knows the crack.
He knows.
Rightio, kicking off merch that our grumpy metal friend has just dropped moodily in front of us. Big Finish are celebrating 20 years of audio adventures.
Yeah.
20 bloody years.
Yeah. I feel really old, mate, because I can remember being there with the first release. I ordered Sirens of Time when it first came out. That's shocking.
Yeah. I obviously wasn't around when Big Finish. No. Well, I was around. That's the wrong thing to say. I wasn't into Big Finish when they kicked off their audio adventures and then the Doctor Who stuff. However, we mention Big Finish. I'd probably say on a weekly basis, we mention Big Finish in some shape or form. And as it's all canon, it is canon, isn't it, still?
I certainly consider it canon, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Yeah.
As it's all canon, it's a very integral, important part of Who. And, I mean, I don't want to be too gushy here, but we have a lot to thank Big Finish for, because they've, in a big way, they've turned around a lot of people's opinions on Doctor Who. More specifically, certain doctors.
Definitely, yeah.
You know,
Colin, we're looking at you.
Yes, Colin, and in a way, Paul McGann. Not in the respect that his performance was poor during his one-time outing on the TV, but just because we didn't see enough of him. And so via the magic of Big Finish, we're able to flesh his character out and his timeline and his stories. And and as you said, Colin, you know, we're not into lists here, but you know, not if you were to do a survey of 5,000 Who fans, whatever, I'm pretty sure Colin would appear sort of lower down on the list, unfortunately for him. But again, via Big Finish, we've managed to have some absolutely cracking stories from Colin. And he's just brilliant. So we have a lot to thank Big Finish for. And it's very cool that they're going to be celebrating their 20 years. They're going to do it over a couple of years, actually. So their release schedule is going to run across 2019 and 2020. And they're going to focus on each incarnation of the Time Lord. So each Doctor is going to get sort of a very cool new special edition, or whatever you want to call it. Bunch
special
of
release.
Yeah. So the first one is going to be the 7th Doctor, Mr. McCoy. So that's going to come out. That's starting, actually says this November. And he's going to be teamed up with Yasmin Bannerman, who plays Roz. And Travis Oliver, he's going to play Chris. In the new story, simply put, the 7th Doctor, The New Adventures, Volume 1. It's going to be a 4-disc set, 4 stories. The Trial of a Time Machine, Vanguard, The Jabberai Countdown, and The Dread of Night are the 4 stories for this one, which sound very cool. And then, as I said, onwards from that, other Doctors will obviously get their celebratory releases and so on. But we spoke recently, didn't we, about Tom Baker recording a bunch of Big Finish, and his stories are going to run, I think it was up to 2021 or something, wasn't it? And
so something like that, yeah.
And along with this, they've initially said releases are going to run from 2019 through 2020. So still lots more Big Finish to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I mean they should be very proud of their back catalogue. They've really sort of come into their own over the years, haven't they? And they filled in that gap during the hiatus, and like you said, they really sort of did great stuff with Paul McGann. I mean, I really enjoy a lot of the audios they have done with him over the years, especially with Lucy Bleeding Miller. I think they were great stories. So this is really cool as well. So I mean, I didn't pick up I think they were the Virgin New Adventure books or something like that back then. I know, I don't know. They kind of passed me by a little bit, but I know of them, and it'll be very interesting to hear them adapted and put into these, given the Big Finish treatment, I think. So, I mean, the 7th Doctor we both love, so this is a definite must buy. Tom, obviously, I'm going to get them. So, yeah, I think it's a really nice idea to do these. So I'll definitely be getting these.
Yes, and the other release that's going to run in this year, in March of next year, as part of the celebratory things, is an adaptation of the comic book strips for the 4th Doctor. So Doctor Who, the comic strip adaptations.
Oh, cool. Are
coming in March. And 2 stories, Doctor Who and the Iron Legion, and Doctor Who and the Star Beast. So these were like the very, very old, very short little comic strips that used to appear. I think they appeared in the Doctor Who magazine, or was it the very, very early Doctor Who magazines?
Yeah, I know. It might even be Doctor Who Weekly or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah.
So they've collated them all together, and they're going to adapt them into an audio story, which is really cool. So lots to come from Big Finish.
Yeah, nice releases. I guess also part of that 20-year celebration, they're doing a great release called The Legacy of Time, which is one of the biggest audio crossovers ever, apparently. So it's 6-hour-long stories, bringing together all sorts of characters like River Song, Bernice Summerfield, Kate Stewart, Katie Manning, obviously, as Joe Grant, and all the Doctors as well. So you've got Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, Tom Baker, McGann, Davison, all in there. So this is going to be quite a big release. And also they're going to have Tim Treloar doing the voice of the Third Doctor. And I have to say he's very good, because I'm often a bit wary about when they get people in to do Doctors, you know, especially when they're next to, you know, the actual actor that played a Doctor. So, you know, with like Tom and Colin, all that. But Tim's very, very good at doing the Third Doctor. So this sounds like a phenomenal release, actually. I'm so excited about this. It's coming out in July next year, so 2019, to coincide with the 20th anniversary of Big Finish. So this looks great, doesn't it? You must be excited about this.
Oh, crikey. This looks absolutely brilliant.
Love the cover as well. Really cool cover.
The cover's amazing. Yeah. I assume it's going to be in one of those special edition bigger packaging.
I hope so,
because the shape of the poster would suggest that. Yeah. But some more details on it. So 2019 will be the 30th anniversary of their first appearance in Remembrance, the Countermeasures team. So they're going to be reunited with the 7th Doctor and Ace. The 6th Doctor and his companion Charlotte Pollard will once again meet Detective Inspector Patricia Menzies in a police procedural like no other. And then a little bit more blurb on the story overall. So time is collapsing. Incidents of temporal chaos and devastation are appearing throughout the many lives of the Doctor and his friends, fallout from one terrible disaster. The Doctor must save history itself, and he will need all the help he can get. And the 6 stories are Lies in Ruins, The Split Infinitive, The Sacrifice of Joe Grant. Episode 4. That's to be confirmed. That's obviously not the title. The Adventures of Possibility and Collision Course. It says the truth is revealed and it will take more than one Doctor to save the day. So this does sound absolutely brilliant, buddy.
It does. And actually I might have to be, because this is not out till next year, normally I'd sort of pre-order it closer to the time, because obviously Big Finish take your money straight away. They don't take it upon release. So I often order them quite close to release dates, if you see what I mean. Yeah. But I might have to get this pre-ordered, because it's an 8-disc CD set with a limited edition pressing of just 4,000 copies. And it's currently the pre-order price is £45. So it is quite high, but it is one I want to get. I wouldn't want to miss out on this release. So 4,000 sounds quite high, but, you know, I'm pretty sure there's 4,000 Big Finish fans out there. So I don't know. It's a bit like the TARDIS. I think I need to sort of make sure I get this one. I don't want to miss out on this one.
No, Regent. I'll be pre-ordering the actual physical set for this one. Yeah, it does look really, really good. So it's not the big book style then. It's the normal size packaging, but just with a slipcase by the sound of it.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay. I assumed being that price it'd be something else, but I don't know. I assumed it'd be a special edition for that price, £45.
Yeah. So they might well do a special edition, but I'm not sure. It just says 8-disc CD. It just says deluxe slipcover book. Oh, so it might be the book style. Oh, right.
What do they call it? Like the coffee table style? I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're not doing it on vinyl. Actually, Big Finish seem to be getting into their vinyl special releases, and they're normally quite expensive, aren't they? But well, maybe they'll do it later.
There's plenty of time between now and July, so they might have other stuff. I'm 90% sure we'll see this on vinyl, but
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So at the moment, £45 for the CD, or £40 for the digital only. Sounds very good. Right, next up, this is very cool.
This is great.
So it only feels like yesterday we had all the hurrah and fanfare that kicked off with the season 12 special edition Blu-ray box set, the Tom Baker series. And now they're following up very swiftly with season 19, the Peter Davison, his first series, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So season 19 has been given the very beautiful. I can tell you what, mate. Lee Binding's just, because I remember talking to him on Twitter last week and, just asking him what he was up to with having a chat. And he said he's just been absolutely crazy busy finalising the this box set season 19 cover. And I'll tell you what, it just looks so good, doesn't it?
It does. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I love his style of artwork anyway.
Yeah.
And I just love the look of this set. And it sort of fits in perfectly with that Tom Baker release that we already got. So I just can't wait to see them like side by side. It's just, I'm so buzzing for this release.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And the so Lee Binding's style on the cover, he did the same thing with the Tom Baker artwork, where he's sort of taken a photo of in this case, Peter Davison, and he sort of applied like a painter style effect over it. And there's loads of other stuff going on, but it's all in the same colour scheme as the season 12 one. So it's that very light, sort of lavender, purple, bluey type of hues, and all the logo and the font's exactly the same as the other season 12 set. So like you just mentioned, side by side on the shelf, they're going to look awesome. Very, very cool. So this is out in November. I was expecting next year for the next one to be out.
I must admit, so was I. I was really quite surprised. I mean, I felt we'd get another, release coming, but I wasn't expecting it so soon. So I'm delighted about this because obviously it's going to have loads of extras on it. And, there was a great thing released on YouTube from the BBC this week, wasn't there, of Tegan, Janet Fielding doing like an introduction video on an airplane talking about this release. And I'll tell you, if you haven't seen it yet, guys, go out there and watch it. It's just so fun. It's just her talking about what's on it, and in a very sort of light-hearted way, on an aircraft being a stewardess. It's brilliant, honestly. You've got to see it. And I'm very excited about this set, mate, because I like the Fifth Doctor. I know some people say he's a bit bland, a bit beige or whatever, and his first season wasn't that good. For me personally, I love his first season, and I'm looking at the sort of list of stories. So Castrovalva, Forward to Doomsday, Kinder, Visitation, Black Orchid, Earthshock, Time Flight. So there's some great stuff in there, I think. And and also, when you look at the set, the packaging you get for it, just like the season 12 release, it's going to have all that nice TARDIS booklet opening up and stuff. And I can't wait to get it. I literally can't wait to get it.
Yeah, it's as a Who fan, it doesn't really get much better than this.
I don't think so.
Because when you take a complete series, I mean, admittedly, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 stories in this particular season. But when they take the original video files and they remaster it and they get it ready for Blu-ray and they get all these cool special features together, and then they get Lee Binding to do the just brilliant artwork, and it all comes together. And even when you look at the picture with all the discs and the booklet and stuff, it's great.
It's what we want, isn't it?
It's really what we really want it. Yeah. So some details a bit more on the set. So these are up for pre-order now, by the way, on Amazon at least. It's going to be up for pre-order on HMV, but it's not, as we're recording this at the moment, on the 22nd at 11:30. It's not up there at the moment, but it's supposed to be at some point today. So by the time you listen to this, it should be up there. But it is on Amazon for $54.99 at the moment. Assuming that might come down a little bit. How much was season 12?
I think it was 39.
It was 40 quid, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Zoom have got it for 39 at the minute. I don't know. I was going to say, I was looking on Twitter this morning to see if there was any, because 54 sounds quite a lot, but it will come down 100%. Yeah. I think it'll be around the £40 mark, I think.
I hope so, because I'm not saying, for this set, I would happily pay $54.99. But it will come down. Yeah. So Zoom.co.uk have got it for 39. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, a bunch of people who ordered from Zoom season 12, they got theirs like a few days earlier. They got it on the Friday.
I think it was nearly a week early, actually. Yeah. I think, they got it early last time, yeah.
So not to say that it will happen again, but, Zoom.co.uk just handing out a few little sweeteners. It's like, we'll get you early, come and order from us. But anyway, so HMV, Amazon, and there's another website that you frequent sometimes. They might have it. They do a load of like deep not just Doctor Who, but sci-fi.
Oh, what, Galaxy 4?
Did they have it?
Is that who you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I tend to use, Amazon, Zavi, HMV, they're the sort of main big ones. And Zoom, like you said, are good. Yeah. I mean, I'm amazed this has come out so quickly. I'm absolutely delighted. One thing I would say, though, is I think because the season 12 set sold so well, and I'm really pleased about that, because I think they, that was sort of testing the water a bit. I think, to see how the sales went. So because that sold so well, maybe they've thought, right, let's not waste any time. Let's get while the ball's rolling, let's get another one out, which is all good, fantastic, thumbs up. But one thing I am worried about is, please don't rush it out too much, because we don't want errors like we got on the, let's have a bit of quality control, guys. It's all well and good, and I'm thrilled to bits it's coming out, but please, let's have a little bit of quality control this time, because the season 12 box set was brilliant and they did a great job with the extras. But as a lot of people know, there were some audio errors on there and some production errors and stuff, which BBC were very quick to sort out. But I just hope they sort of check all the discs before releasing it this time. I've got a feeling that date might go back. I don't know about you, mate. I've got a feeling it might push back a little bit. But but
19th,
I'm just thrilled.
19th of November is penciled in. But we'll see. I mean, so there's a range of prices at the moment, like I said. So Amazon have gone in with their, what sounds like the recommended retail price that they normally get from people, which is $54.99. Zavi have got it up as well, $44.99, and Zoom.co.uk, $39.99. So I'm guessing by sort of 3 or 4 weeks out from release, everywhere will be $39.99, especially Amazon and Zoom. I'm not sure about Zavi and HMV, but
weirdly, it's not working now. But they've obviously, I don't know why, but it was on HMV this morning for $39.99, and it's gone. So I don't know if that means they changed price. So I think it's going to be around $39.99.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then just a very quick recap on a couple of the techie stuff. All 26 episodes have been remastered from scratch. So that's important.
That is.
Because a lot of times what typically happens when older TV shows are released on Blu-ray, they just upscale it to the HD resolution, and because of a cost thing, I assume, that's got to be good enough. Whereas the same with season 12, Peter Crocker and Mark Ayers, so those guys who are handling the video and the audio, have gone back and have literally taken the original film from scratch and have remastered it from the original 16mm film elements, which are thankfully still in existence. It's not like a Troughton or a Hartnell thing where they've all gone missing or been taped over. They can now do a proper rescan and a proper remaster up to HD and stuff. And the special features seem just amazing on this, don't they, mate? We had a quick chat about it earlier.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things, you mentioned it, there's that YouTube video doing the rounds of Tegan doing Yavanka Airlines.
Brilliant.
It's like a safety video that you see on an aeroplane, and she's going through the box set and telling you what's coming up. And Davison and Jeanette Fielding make a little cameo at the end. It's very, very funny. And one of the special features on here is very similar to what they did with it's actually the same as what they did with season 12, where they get the stars to sit on some sofas and watch the episodes, or some of them. And there's a very quick scene of Davison and Jeanette Fielding, I think, absolutely wetting themselves laughing.
I want to know what they're like. I can't wait to see what they're laughing at, because I don't know if you noticed this, but so Peter, Janet, and Sarah Sutton are all absolutely cracking up laughing, but Matthew Waterhouse is sat to the left of them, and I just can't help but notice that he's not laughing. I'm just thinking, what are they watching? Because he doesn't look as amused as them. So I'm dying to see what is going on there.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping it's not his death scene. Imagine if they're correct, he's just like sat there. Oh dear.
With a glass of wine and ready to to wander off. Yeah. So the special features are, I know we're rambling on about this, but it's such a cool set. The special features are new documentaries, like making of, behind the scenes things for all of the, for Castrovalva, For to Doomsday, Black Orchid, Earthshock, and Time Flight. Surround sound mixes for Kinder and Earthshock. An extended version of Black Orchid Part 1. Rare studio footage from Castrovalva, 4 to Doomsday, Earthshock, and Time Flight. Updated special effects for Castrovalva.
Wow.
And 7 more editions of Behind the Sofa. And a newly shot 1-hour interview with Davison in conversation with Matthew Sweet.
Oh, brilliant. Because the Tom Baker one was excellent.
Really good, yeah.
Oh,
so one thing to bear in mind. Now, this could be a George Lucas thing here. So remember when George Lucas said that all the special effects that the original trilogy had were garbage, and he released the special editions with new special effects? This could be a situation for Castrovalva. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. We'll have to see.
I'm surprised they didn't do new special effects for Time Fly. I would have thought if any story in that series needed updating, it would be that one. But I'm so pleased about that interview with Davison. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. I wonder how they're going to handle the rest of the releases, though, mate. Because so they've done Tom's first series, they've done Peter's now. Are they just is Colin next, and then McCoy, and then because obviously the earlier stories, like you just mentioned, like the black and white, and some of them. Episodes are missing, and we've got those awful telly snaps for some stories. So how are they going? Maybe they've just thought, well, let's do the later releases first, and then we'll, when technology advances, we'll do the early ones. I don't know. I just wonder how they're, what is their strategy? What's their plan with the other releases? Because, a lot of Pertwee stuff is really. The quality of the picture is not great. It's going to be very hard to remaster because of the source material they've got for a lot of Pertwee stories. I don't know how they're going to do that, actually. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean, whether they'll do it at all, I'm not sure. There really is no details at all about what the end sort of goal is for these, whether they're going to have every single season released as these special packaging. I mean, that will be pretty epic, if they manage to do that, but I don't know.
But also, wouldn't it be awful if they, so Lee Binding's done these 2 lovely covers. Wouldn't it be awful if they do like they did with the Steelbooks and just suddenly get another artist?
No.
Because we want them all to match. But imagine though, so you got 4 and 5 in that lovely lavender Lee Binding covers, and then suddenly we get some ghastly sort of Colin Baker one with multicoloured with the wrong TARDIS. And
why have you got to jinx it, mate?
Oh no, I'm just saying, just don't let it happen. BBC, because it's the BBC, mate, and we know what they're like. Just don't let it happen, mate. Get Lee Binding, lock him in a room with a bottle of wine, and get him to do all the covers now.
Yes,
so that they all match. Yeah, because they're doing very well so far.
Oh, Jesus!
Sorry if you're listening, Lee. I don't really want to lock you in a room, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We read you. And just lastly, the go and watch the YouTube video that they've put out. That
it's brilliant.
Because the thing that's cool about Davison and Sarah Sutton and Jeanette Fielding is that, and Matthew Waterhouse to an extent, is that they are fully aware, 100% aware of what fans think about certain episodes from their era. They're not in some sort of blind bubble where they think everything's amazing, and that they're fully aware of how fans feel about certain stories. And there's a bit in the video where she's going through, and there's this story and this story, and right behind you is Time Flight. And then
yes, right,
yeah. So it's all very tongue-in-cheek, very very sarcastic, because there's no point in them sitting there saying, our season of Doctor Who was, the best thing ever, and, can't just understand people's complaints for Time Flight. It's, perfectly acceptable. They're fully aware that they know it's not great.
Yeah, Davison's always very honest, isn't he? That's what I love about Davison and Janet.
So to wrap this up then, season 19, is going to be awesome.
It is.
It's going to be awesome. And to save you, if you are one of these people who were sort of umming and ahhing and hovering over the button for season 12 and you didn't get it, and now you're looking at several hundreds of pounds on eBay or whatever, don't miss out on this one.
Yeah.
Don't miss out. So
pre-order it now.
Pre-order it now.
Okay, so other releases coming out. It's already out actually. There's a DVD and Blu-ray of The Attic, which was a convention that celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Sarah Jane Adventures, which we're reviewing today. Which we're really enjoying our Sarah Jane Adventures ride, aren't we, so far? Yep. So they did this convention last year in July in Cardiff, and they filmed it. So there was panels there. They got the majority of the cast back reunited, which was great. There was photo shoots and autographs and all sorts of stuff, and it was all filmed, and they've done a sort of fan release of that, if you like, on DVD and Blu-ray. Now these will be obviously produced to order, so they're very limited in quantity. I assume it'll be a DVD-R, would you call it? It's not like an official release by the BBC or anything. It's produced by the people who did the event, isn't it? So
yes, well, the Blu-rays have all gone.
They've all gone
already.
Okay,
yeah. I'm assuming that the DVDs are still knocking about. They're gone as well.
Oh, are they? Oh, they're all gone.
Now, that's not to say that they're gone permanently. It's just that the initial pre-order batch has been bought up. But just keep an eye on it. That's all I say. We'll put a note in the show notes over to the Amazon page for these. And I haven't seen them on any other websites as yet. They could pop up somewhere. We'll have to keep an eye out and let you know if we see them anywhere. But do you know what, mate? If we started reviewing Sarah Jane a lot earlier, then there's a good chance that you and I would have been at this.
I must admit, I know why we weren't there, actually, because I was very tempted with this. The reason was it clashed with LFCC, I think.
Oh, last year.
Pretty sure. Right. I'm sure that's why I didn't go, because I had it on the radar for ages, thinking, that sounds really good, and I want to go back to Cardiff anyway, and make a weekend of it and stuff. I'm pretty sure it clashed with LFCC, which I'd already got tickets for, so that's why I didn't go. But
you're right.
I would love to. I'd be really intrigued to see this though, because as I said, we're really enjoying our Sarah Jane stories so far. And it sounded like a good event. I think there was a couple of little hiccups, as there always is with events like this. But it would definitely be interesting to see this DVD. So I hope they do produce some more of it. I'll probably get one if they get some more back in.
Yeah, that sounds good. So they got, like you said, everyone together for the 10th anniversary of the show. It was like a small convention called The Attic, and it raised over £6,000.
Oh, really?
For T. Hafan's Children Hospice in Penarth. Near where everything was filmed.
Yeah, cool.
Which is really cool. And it's over 7 hours of features. So
blimey.
Panels and all the rest of it, like you said. One thing to note, though, the special features on it are standard quality. They're not HD. So even if you buy the Blu-ray, the special features part of it are in standard definition.
Oh, okay.
So during the day, members of the cast took part in a special version of the Game-a-thon, previously used a couple of times by the Sarah Jane Adventures website when it was in its heyday. For those that don't remember, it's essentially a sports day activity challenge event kind of thing. And the cast did that. So, one thing to note, though, the Blu-ray and the DVD is not official and is not endorsed or supported by the BBC. They just wanted to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Not that they need the BBC to do it, but... we don't want to run into any trouble there. But yeah, I'm going to get this, mate. If I can find one.
If they can produce some more, that'd be good. Yeah.
I think it would be awesome. Yes. Right, that's The Attic. And very lastly, for merch, I know Adam's going to be over the moon about this.
Well, I'm not over the moon about it.
So, the 5.5-inch Bill Potts collector's figure is now available to order exclusively from Amazon. That's it.
It's weird. This is a strange one for me because it feels about 6 months too late for a start. I don't know why this is taking so long to come out. And it's also strange because those B&M sets we were talking about have got the figure in that set, albeit a sort of a not so nicely painted version. So basically, this figure's in the B&M set, but this version that we can get from Amazon quite soon is like a deluxe version. So in other words, they've put nicer paint apps on it, and it does look an awful lot better than the version you get in the B&M set. The B&M set is like a budget version of this figure. The sculpt is exactly the same. It's just that the paint apps are so much nicer on this version. So it's kind of a deluxe figure, if you like. And yeah, if this had come out when Series 10 was on, I'd have been like, yeah, build figure, man, brilliant. Because I do like my Doctor Who figures, as you know, but now it's like, oh, Series 10's like, I just don't understand what is taking characters so long. It feels so out of date to me already. That said, I'll probably still pick one up. I think it looks quite good, but yeah, it feels a bit out of date. I'm just glad they've got their stuff together with Series 13 to an extent anyway. They seem to be getting the stuff out. But yeah, this is a bit out of date, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Well, there must have been some reason for the delay because it's got the now old logo on it. So this would have all been done before the BBC put their foot down with everything and said, the whole thing with the brand unity and everything has to have that new logo on it now. So this would have been done quite a while ago because it's got the old logo and stuff. But it's just a case of why is it taking them so long to get it production and out into release. But anyway, it's available exclusively at Amazon for £12.96 and it's out of stock.
Brilliant.
So it's come and gone in the blink of an eye. And it says temporarily out of stock. So order now and we'll deliver it when it's available. But seeing as it's already taken this long to come out, who knows when that's going to be. But order at your own peril. Yeah, I would say, but I certainly won't be up for it.
No, I know you're not getting it.
Are you going to put one in and hope it comes back into stock? Are you going to get it?
Well, I don't think they ever got stock of it. I think it's a case of they had a release date. It went past that release date. They didn't get stock. So now they're just saying, oh, we might get some at some point. I'm sure they will. I think the fact it's sort of resurfaced on a few websites and stuff means that they are expecting stock of it soon, but we don't know when.
Yeah, I just can't understand the delay because it's already in the old pack. So they must have hundreds or thousands of these in a warehouse somewhere ready to go. I don't understand what
it's character, mate. I mean, if you remember with the last series as well, we were getting like the Doctor from what was the episode where he's at the school, like the Ghostbusters one, the Scovot Splitzer. We were getting all that sort of, a year after the series come out. We were already into the new series and stuff. They were so lax with getting releases out with the Capaldi era. It doesn't surprise me, but yes, we shall see. We'll see. I'll let you know if it suddenly pops up. I'll let you know. Yes.
Crikey Moses. Anyway, that's going to do for merch. Some very, very cool merch this week.
Yeah.
Very cool. Right, review time. What we got, buddy?
So, yeah, Sarah Jane again this week, and we're finishing up. This is the last story in Series 1, The Lost Boy.
It's been 5 months since we saw her, actually.
Mr. Smith, I need you more than ever. I told you time and time again there's something wrong with that woman. Ashley! Oh my God! I wish I had all the answers. No!
We're part of something so much bigger than living here on Banman Road.
Seems you've got powerful friends, Miss Smith.
I told you when we met. My life is dangerous.
This is serious stuff, Maria. Crazy, but serious.
Dad says we're moving. He says I can't have anything to do with you anymore.
Sometimes it's the only way to survive.
The Lost Boy. The Lost Boy. It was first broadcast in November of 2007. It was written by Phil Ford and directed by Charles Martin. And it stars the usual Sarah Jane cast. They're all there.
Yeah.
And the story is that the Slitheen are back. And one of the stories early on, was it the very first one after Invasion of the Bane? That was the pilot.
That was a pilot, yeah.
So the second one, which was technically episode 1, I suppose, in the series, what was that called?
Was it just Revenge of the Slitheen or something like that?
Revenge of the Slitheen, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that episode, there was a little Slitheen, wasn't there? The little, is it, what was it? Is it Carl with a C?
Carl.
That was it, yeah. So he managed to escape, didn't he? With some other Slitheen in that episode. And he's back in this one.
Yeah.
And he's got ideas of revenge. So the story kind of is and it centers around like mainly the Slitheen and Mr. Smith, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
So we find out that Mr. Smith is actually a Xyloc. Xyloc with an X, not a Z. Apparently.
Yes.
So the Xyloc was essentially some kind of sort of meteorite crystal thing that fell to the Earth, wasn't it? Or something many moons ago. And he's sort of been carrying out his own sort of revenge scheme, hasn't he, against Sarah Jane. So he's been, in a way that we've seen as the viewer, he's been helping Sarah Jane, but really he's been sort of monitoring what she's been doing and what she's been up to, and he's been putting his plan together. And he's in cahoots with the Slitheen in this one. Is that right? They're sort of in cahoots together because the Slitheen dudes, they want to exact their revenge on Sarah Jane and more specifically Luke. So they devise this very sort of lavish sob story that Luke's real parents have been looking for him since his disappearance. So they're trying to go along the angle that he wasn't created by the Bane and that he was abducted from his real parents. So, but those parents turn out to be the Slitheen actually, and the Mr. Smith has been sort of using them really. So his initial plan was to get the moon to crash into the Earth and wipe out the human race essentially. And along the while, there's a little twists and turns. So the Mr. Smith reveal thing where Clyde runs into the attic at the end of the first episode was a really good twist. And then we learned, so the story takes a turn with Mr. Smith becoming the baddie. And because of the whole thing around, Luke supposedly being abducted or ran away, whatever, from his parents, it makes Sarah Jane look really bad, like she's the abducting, crazy old woman, and Maria's mum really enforces that fact. And as we get into episode 2, we find out that the revenge plot from the Slitheen is not doing them any favours either, because they can't escape because the moon's going to crash into the Earth because of Mr. Smith. So they team up with Sarah Jane temporarily and manage to stop and save the day by our little tin dog, our little...
Yes!
He makes a sort of epic, very brief epic sort of save the day moment towards the end. And
he finally comes out of that little safe or whatever it is he's been locked in.
Yeah, he's been... Yeah, so we find out, don't we, that he's actually been sort of stopping a black hole from collapsing.
Yeah.
Apparently. And the Lost Boy, it's basically around, so the Slitheen are back acting out their revenge plot, and Mr. Smith is actually a baddie all along. And he's got his own sort of his own motives to wipe everyone out. So here we go. The last 2 episodes of series 1. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I thought it was a really good way to end the series, actually. You know how sometimes you talk about RTD having this sort of plan and how he just brings everything together. Mm-hmm. I just think this is a great example of that. So it's, the story starts with Maria talking to her dad with flashback clips, and it just suddenly everything just clicks into place. And I just thought, it's all led up to this point. And it's really interesting, the fact that the dad now knows about all the stuff that's been going on rather than it, all being kept secret and they never know about all the adventures. And so suddenly he's part of the team, and his reaction to it, I thought was really good, because he's just like, well, we're going to move because I'm, he finally accepts it because he's seen it with his own eyes. But I just thought his reaction to it was very natural of like, well, we're getting out of this. I can't have you around all this danger sort of thing. But yeah, it's just a great example of the way that RTD just pulls everything together from the series. And Phil Ford does a great job writing the script, I think, and bringing everything together. So I really enjoyed this, mate. I thought it was quite dark in places, like the whole thing about Luke being taken away from Sarah Jane and supposedly being reunited with his real family, which he doesn't remember, and then being locked in the room. And I thought that's quite dark stuff. And then there's some really humorous moments with Clyde, with his swagger and all that. I just thought it was a really good ending to series 1. I really, really enjoyed it. And the twist, the cliffhanger to episode 1 is superb, where Clyde runs into the the attic and Mr. Smith turns bad. I didn't see that coming in a million years. I thought that was brilliant. I was just like, literally like, what a fantastic cliffhanger. So yeah, this is good stuff. I think I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you, mate. I think it was a great way to end series 1. I thought the story overall had a lot going on, but it wasn't
complicated or messy.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly. Yeah, it wasn't messy. It wasn't one of those Moffat style things where, like, 90% of the way through, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, sort of there was a lot going on. Yeah. But yeah.
And I think that's largely due to the fact that it is written for a younger audience, so it can't be too complex anyway. But I found it just, everything fit. It was like a perfect sort of jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All the elements started to scatter throughout the story, but then in the final act, they all sort of came back together perfectly, and it all slotted together nicely. It was very cool.
There's a couple of bits that really made me laugh as well. You know how we said about getting this line between being a sort of a children's program, but also being able to appeal to adults. And I thought this had a real good tone to the whole story. It was quite adult in places, but also funny and just enjoyable. There were a couple of bits that really made me laugh, laugh out loud, if you like. It really made me sort of smile. And there was a couple of nice touching scenes as well. It kind of had everything in there. It had action, had moments of sort of sadness. It had moments that made me, moved me. And it was just brilliant, I thought. Just really, really good. Phil Ford's a good writer, actually. Yeah. I think he's done some very good stuff, especially with the Sarah Jane adventures. Yeah.
Yeah, because he, like we said, because he's done some other, he's done quite a few Sarah Jane adventures, hasn't he?
Did, yeah.
So he did Eye of the Gorgon.
That's it.
Which is very cool. But he also did The Waters of Mars.
That's
which
right.
is one of the best sort of Tennant stories. And he's a very, very good writer, actually. Very cool. And it's no surprise that RTD hired him to do most of the... RTD came up with that Wizards versus Aliens.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I never saw any, but... that
was very kiddie from what I remember.
Yeah, so it's no surprise, though, that he got Phil to do, pretty much all of that. So... very, very cool. And then overall the story, I mean, it just really ticks along nicely from the moment you start the story. And because it kind of kicks off relatively quickly, doesn't it? Everything gets in gear. Into a decent gear, and it doesn't seem to stop. The only moments where things kind of slow down a little bit is like the everyday scenes, so to speak, where you have Maria and Clyde just at school, or she's having a conversation with her dad or whatever like that. But overall the gear sort of maintains at a decent, it stays at a decent level and maintains this level of action versus sort of emotion and all that stuff, because they're all sort of heartbroken, really, that Luke is in this situation. It's really emotional at the beginning, where you could see that Sarah Jane's really cut up about Luke, going off to be with his supposed real parents. But she's putting on a brave face. She's trying to say to him, it's a good day. It's a happy day for you. You're going to, your parents have been worried sick probably, and now they're going to treat you with love and all the rest of it. But you can tell that she's actually really, she's heartbroken about it. And then you have the other side of it where the whole Mr. Smith reveal, because he has been an ally, if you like, to Sarah Jane, and just by the way that she always, Mr. Smith, I need you, that whole thing all the time. He's been the thing that, he hasn't been the thing that's saved the day in terms of figuring out what to do, because that's Sarah Jane's job. She's, in this particular world, she's the investigator, the detective, the one that pieces it all together. He's just the thing that does the lasers, or, the thing that blasts something out of the sky or whatever. So it's really sort of emotional at that point where they find out that, he is the Zylok. And so you have that emotional level as well. And then you have the will they, won't they aspect as well, because it's quite suspenseful. It's like, are they Luke's parents really?
Yeah.
Is the moon really going to crash into Earth? And is Maria's dad really going to move house and she's going to go away and all the rest of it. So it's got all these really cool elements built in to the story as you go through it, and that gear sort of keeps you going. I mean, when this finished, mate, I think we said this earlier before we recorded, but I just want to crack on with series 2.
Absolutely, mate. I do as well. I literally, I could quite happily have put on the next series. I mean, I didn't because I'm just loving the fact we're reviewing them. So it's like a treat. Yeah. It's there waiting for me. I'm absolutely loving it. But I love the fact we got like an origin story for Mr. Smith as well, and and the fact it's such an important part of the story as well. It leads into the reason why he actually turns bad. I thought it was brilliant because we get to know how Sarah Jane sort of made him or where he come from. Because, I mean, I did wonder how she got all this stuff in her attic. So it's the way it's done is brilliant. It's just told very simply, you know, that she got this crystal or whatever and he originated from that. And you sort of see like early versions of him with computer screens. Then the next thing he's sort of this, you know, supercomputer hiding in the wall and stuff that does this great big reveal every week, which cracks me up. But I also love the fact that when he does turn bad and Sarah Jane's lost Luke and, you know, Maria's sort of been told she shouldn't hang around with her. So she's sort of alone. She's very vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And it pushes her back to the Sarah Jane we saw right at the start of the series where she's like, she's softened, doesn't she? Because if you remember in the early series, she doesn't want these people hanging around her because she doesn't want to be responsible for anybody else's lives. And then over the sort of course of series 1, she slowly lets the kids in, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. She slowly lets them be part of her life. And then this pushes her right back to Sarah Jane at the start of the series of like, no, I should never have let you in. You know, it's too much danger. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm better off on my own, sort of thing. And I thought that's great because it's taken her right back to where she was. And you can see why she'd do that. She suddenly had a wake up call of, you know, this is dangerous stuff. Why am I letting these kids like, you know, hang around and get involved in this? They're too young, you know, they shouldn't be there, sort of thing. And I just thought it was brilliant the way she just pushes everyone away. It's just her and Mr. Smith. And then Mr. Smith turns on her and it's like, whoa, you know, it's just, it was a great piece of writing, I thought, and just great to see how Elizabeth Sladen dealt with all the emotions and stuff in the story, you know. I mean, that scene where she's just sat on the chair talking to Mr. Smith and she's like, not now, you know, I don't want to hear about it now. I don't think the whole world can blow up. I'm fed up. I'll just leave me alone, sort of thing. I thought it's such a good scene, you know, so good in it.
Absolutely.
So this was working for me on so many levels. It was like you said, it was sort of clicking along brilliantly. It was just one great sort of bit of writing after another, one great scene after another. I will admit the second episode for me wasn't as good as the first. I thought it kind of went where it needed to go. Starts off brilliantly as well. It's like an action film, that first 5 minutes of episode 2, where Sarah Jane's running from that creepy house and then there's a bike shoots over her shoulder sort of thing, and I was like, this is amazing television for like a children's program in brackets. This is great stuff, you know. So it did, I mean, it wrapped up pretty quick. I mean, I guess that's inevitable. So I still thought episode 2 was really strong, but for me it sort of really built mostly in episode 1, but as a two-parter and an overall story, I just thought it was brilliant.
It was really good. I tend to agree as well. The first one was a really cool the first episode really gave you a sense of sort of impending, imminent doom, if you know what I mean, especially at the end when we see Mr. Smith turn, because he doesn't do it it doesn't happen in a way that they find out that he's evil. He's got a very sort of nasty streak about him all of a sudden, because he just comes out with it, doesn't he, and says to Clyde, I faked the photo. You know, this is all. Yeah. It's got a very typical sort of bad guy.
He does the manic evil laugh, doesn't he?
Yeah. So it's you know, even up to that point, and especially at that point when we find out, you know, that little twist, it's got that real sort of, because Luke doesn't show any signs of being freed up to this point. You know, he's basically trapped and imprisoned in this house with the now we know that, you know, the Slitheen. And Maria and Clyde, they just have to go back to school and deal with it. We also have Sarah Jane, who sort of makes a bit of puts a bit of a shield up to protect Maria, really, because when Maria goes round to see her, she sort of pushes her away a little bit, doesn't she? And she's like, I never wanted children around me anyway. And
she's very protective against Maria, which I really like that.
Yeah. So it's one of those very cool, almost typical Russell T Davies things. We saw it in the what was it? The end two-parter to series 4, The Stolen Earth, and the journey. What was it?
The one with Davros?
Yeah, what's it called? The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, is it?
Journey's End, yeah.
So we saw it it's a very similar formula that we got, we saw in that, where episode 1 was all about the doom and, everything's going to go to beep and, it's all looking really bad. But then the second episode, in exactly the same in this one, where they find little nuggets that they can use. It's not about, forming a big offensive and taking on the baddie head on. It's all about, because it happens with Clyde, he when the Slitheen, the fake parent, gives him the photo, that's their little way in, because if he didn't go to Mr. Smith to examine the photo, ultimately he gets zapped inside the computer or the crystal, whatever you want to call it. He's able to sort of use his mind and communicate via the, Mr. Smith's whatever.
I really liked that as well, because he's speaking to, what's the dad called? Maria's dad, isn't he? Speaking to him through the computer.
Alan,
and I thought it was Alan. It was done really well, wasn't it? Because it was sort of broken. It's a bit like predictive text coming through on his screen. He's a bit like, what? Yeah. So I thought that was a really nice idea as well, having him trapped in the computer.
Yeah. Cool.
But using it to his advantage,
Yeah. So although he does get trapped inside, ultimately it's him that alerts Alan to what's going on. So that's their first little nugget. And then the second little nugget was when the Slitheen and those guys are at the science, wherever they end up with the science institution, where they plug Luke in and he overloads the system and so on. When they're having that conversation, it's like Sarah Jane's like, I've got an idea. If we work together, we can sort of get this going. And she gets Alan to make the virus and so on. So they have like these little moments of opportunity, which is very cool, because it still adds to the, well, if this doesn't work, we're going to be in the crapper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the moon's coming to smash into the yeah. So there's always an impending danger.
Yeah,
I think it's good that it's Luke central as well, because we haven't learned much about him, and he's an interesting character, isn't he? This sort of created, human. So there's still a lot to discover about Luke, and he's still discovering the world around him, isn't he? So he's quite alien in a way, even though he is human. So I think it was right to have a story at the end of series 1 that focused, on him. But I still feel there's a lot more to learn about him as well, if you know what I mean. But his sort of relationship with Sarah Jane, she's been more motherly in the series so far towards Maria. And I think perhaps in the series 2, it'll focus more on her and Luke. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. But I think it was good to have a story that was centered on him. And it was a very interesting twist as well. The fact that they're just watching TV and these parents are suddenly saying, "Oh, I'm missing boy," and you're like, "But that's Luke." I thought, what a great twist!
Yeah,
another great twist, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was full of little twists. Really, it was kind of a fake twist as well, wasn't it? Because up until this point, for the whole of the series, we assumed that Luke wasn't human, that he was made by the Bane, and then it's a case of Mr. Smith very cleverly, underhandedly, saying, "Oh, it's a perfect match." Because they've got no reason to distrust him at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
When he's saying, "Oh, it's a perfect match," and they talk about his belly button, the navel, and he's like, "Yeah."
Oh, that's it. They mention it a couple of times, don't they? Which is quite funny.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like, it was a really good fake twist as well, because there was a couple of moments where I thought, "Crap, is he really human? Is this what Mr. Smith's saying? Is it?" Because us as the viewer as well have got no reason to not trust.
And I was thinking, if you were watching this when it first went out, obviously now we know there's like 4 series Sarah Jane, so we know that Luke's in the rest of it. But back then it would have been great, wouldn't it? If I was watching this when it first aired, I'd be thinking, "Oh, that's good. Is he human? Oh, maybe he's, maybe he is." And so it's a good story in a good storyline. I mean,
it is good.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I also really liked about the story as a whole is the the fact that they all worked together, including Alan, because there was a moment at the beginning of the story where I thought he was literally going to pull the plug on, Maria being involved. Because he's obviously, understandably, he's just baffled by everything. He can't really take everything in at the moment. Everything that they've seen so far, various aliens and monsters and all the rest of it. And he's understandably really worried about his daughter being involved in all that. But he kind of gets swept up in it, doesn't it, himself? There's a nice little scene where Sarah Jane's, she's like, once the universe has sort of been unlocked, it doesn't turn your back on you sort of thing. And she's kind of saying that once you're exposed to it, you can't just sort of put it away anymore. You have to, sort of embrace it kind of thing. And although he's still quite reluctant, there are a few times throughout both episodes where he's got his worried face on. He's got his typical dad worried face and so on. I love the fact that he's sort of part of the gang towards the end.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
So that inclusiveness and they've still sort of isolated Maria's mum as well. She's still like this balmy old ex-missus that just turns up now and then and just annoys the heck out of Maria. But we did have that nice little moment though where the moon's crashing and she thinks the world's gone end, and
that was good. Yeah.
And another little RCD bit there, which they replicated at the end of time, where the Doctor's just about to say it and it cuts off.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Which is really cool. So she does have that little moment where she realizes, in the wake of the end, if that makes sense, she realizes that, she does love him and she wants to be with them both. And
her character's come on quite a bit, isn't it? Because she wasn't very likable in the first story. She was a bit like, she was annoying, and she's still quite annoying, but they've softened her and made her much more likable. She's become more of a sort of comical character as the mum. But so she's like this annoying mum, but she has a heart to her. I think so. I've grown to quite like her in a strange way over the series. She's just this sort of, like you said, she's just this balmy mum that keeps coming over and they roll their eyes, oh, mum's here sort of thing. And so I think they've developed her quite well actually for a sort of sub character. I mean,
yeah. She's still, I think she's still got a way to. It's really cool in a way. It's very, very cool because you and I haven't seen any. I don't know if you've watched any episodes past this point. I've only ever seen a couple from this first series, so.
I've seen, I don't know what series it is. I've seen the one with Matt Smith, which I think is perhaps series 3 or 4, and maybe one other or two other. I haven't seen a lot. Yeah. So, because I know that, unfortunately, I know that they leave in the next series. So I think quite early on. I don't think Maria's in series 2, or maybe she's in the beginning. I don't know. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens to them, because I don't think she was in any of the stuff I saw, so she must move on at some point. But I'm really intrigued to see like where, why they leave and what happens and where they go, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because I haven't seen any episodes from this point on now, so everything is going to be fresh.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. For me, I've only seen a couple from this first series before we started reviewing, but I know that Matt Smith's in it. I know David Tennant's in one of them.
The one I'm really looking forward to is the one with the brig. I know the brig's in one.
Yes, yeah.
And it might be the same as the David Tennant one. I don't know. But those are the ones I'm really looking forward to. There's one where Sarah Jane's getting married, which I remember I don't think I've seen it, but I've seen lots of promo pictures and stuff. And I'm really intrigued by those stories. I don't know which series they are, but like you said, it's all new to me and it's great, actually.
It's very, very cool.
It's a good journey. I'm enjoying this one a lot.
It is. Yeah. So I like the backstory for Mr. Smith. I really like the inclusiveness that Alan's now kind of part of the gang, I suppose.
Yeah.
I like the progression with some of the characters. But, overall, and it's very difficult because it's a real contrast from our last review. So when we reviewed, what was it, Cyberwoman?
Oh, gosh,
Torchwood. We've really struggled to find some positives in that one, didn't we? We didn't beat up on it too much, but we really struggled to pull out the good bits. And it's the opposite for me with this.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's totally the opposite. Yeah, because as we said earlier, we always try and find good and bad. We did struggle. I think Cyberwoman's probably one of the most negative reviews we've done. And because we just couldn't help it. We were trying to, but it just was. Whereas, like you said, this is the opposite. I wouldn't say it's faultless, but I can't think of many negatives at all, actually. The only minor one I can think of really is I would have liked to have seen a different alien than the Slovene. I was a little bit, when they were revealed, I kind of felt it was coming as well. I was like, they're going to be Slovene, aren't they? They work perfectly well in the story, and it does tie it up nicely with, the previous episode, Revenge of the Slovenes, that they were in. So it does work in terms of the story arc. I was just a little bit like, I'm a bit bored of the Slovene now. I would have preferred what were the ant people called? The guy with the nice red coat. I liked them. So I would have preferred it to have been them or a different alien. But the Slovene worked perfectly well. And I did find Carl Slovene quite amusing. I don't know if it was for the right reason. He's so annoying and obnoxious in it.
The child actor.
Such a little brat.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but laugh when he was being so mouthy. I don't know what the kid's called in it, actually. Is he called Carl or is it Carl Slovene? I'm not sure. But he was quite funny, I thought. Maybe a little over the top, but he did make me laugh, the way he was such a little brat. Especially, and I love it when Sarah Jane brings him down a peg or two. You know that scene when she's in the lab?
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I've got a son that'd knock your socks off when it comes to this. I loved that scene. Absolutely loved it, because he's just like, whatever. Yeah, brilliant.
Really, really cool.
Yeah. But so that's my only real negative, and it's not even a negative really. It's just I was just a little bit, when it was revealed to be a Slovene, I was a little bit like, okay. I would have preferred someone else, but they do work perfectly well in the story. So
you wanted the Avodny.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, the Kudlak.
The Kudlak, yeah. I liked him.
Yeah, he was cool, wasn't he?
His big red coat,
His red, swanky red coat, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some characters.
Yeah.
So the Slovene characters then, the real parents then. Well, no, that's completely inaccurate, isn't it? The fake parents, in their human form. So the mum and dad, not too bad, and the child actor that played the son, Slovene, because the names are slightly different, I think, in this one. But
the genius. I was trying to think, was he? He's not the same kid that we saw back then, is he? Or is he?
I don't remember if he'd been.
No, because it's as if he's a new character, but I thought he looked familiar, but maybe I'm just confusing him. I thought the parents were okay. They're slightly better when they're being evil, like when they're trying to be this sort of sobbing, oh, we've lost our boy. I thought they were a little bit over the top, but when they turn evil, I think they're quite good, especially the dad. He's actually quite convincing as being quite nasty, isn't he? When he locks Luke in his room, he's like, get in there, sort of thing. I thought, oh god, he's actually pretty good. So they're better when they turn evil, I think, than when they're playing the sobbing parent.
Yeah.
They weren't bad. Yeah,
I thought he's quite sinister, the dad, when he goes into Luke's room and he's got this horrible sort of grin on his face, and he's like,
it's like he's enjoying it.
Yeah, it's like you can never leave, sort of thing, and it's quite dark, that bit.
I'll tell you what I did think was cool as well. You must have noticed it. They've put like this hip hop style poster on Luke's wall, but it says Unit, doesn't it? And I think that's quite cool, because Unit does sound like a sort of hip hop group or something, but they've done it I thought that was a nice little nod. Obviously, a little hidden Easter egg, So
the and then the child actor, I think it's Nathan, the little Slovene.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
Nathan. Yeah, he's Ryan Watson apparently. Yeah, I found him very annoying. I'm assuming as well that he's meant to be that way.
Oh, definitely.
He's written to be this obnoxious little brat. Sort of. He's pretty cool. I mean,
he seems to be really enjoying playing the part, I thought. He seems to be absolutely loving being this little brat.
Yes. Yeah. He's 25 now.
No.
Yeah.
My, what?
That lad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gosh. Don't they grow up fast?
Don't they grow up? Yeah. They're not too bad. Like you said, the parents were good when they turned sort of evil.
Yeah.
The evil peeps. What about, Chrissy Jackson, we've spoken about her, Maria's mum, to Alan then. Oh no, there's a couple of people, just very small roles. So we had Professor Rivers, who was the woman that shows Sarah Jane around.
Now, me and you'll recognise her straight away, won't we? Because we're of a similar age. But you must have been the same. I was like, it's Floella Benjamin, who, of course, we would remember from our childhood, wouldn't we? As well, I think of her from Play School. That's where I recognise her from.
From Play School, yes, yeah. Wow, she was.
She hasn't changed a bit.
Not one bit, really.
She looks exactly the same. Yeah, which is amazing. And I thought it was lovely to see her pop up in this, actually, just because of the sort of. The nostalgia of my childhood. I wouldn't say she's the best actress. I'll be honest with you. She was a little bit pantomime, if you like. Not pantomime, but she wasn't that convincing.
A little bit.
But it was nice. It was a nice performance anyway, and it was definitely nice to see her in it. So, I just thought it was just nice to see her in it.
We also had who else did we have? I think that was it for sort of supporting.
Yeah, it wasn't much, actually. It's mainly the cast, isn't it? Main cast, yeah.
Okay, so Alan Jackson and Joseph Milson, really, really cool.
I like him a lot. A bit like the mum. His character's really grown on me. I love the way that him and Maria act together. So him and Yasmin Page, who plays Maria, I think they got a good sort of father-daughter relationship. It's quite convincing, I think. So I like them together, and I think he's good. And I like you said earlier, I love the fact he's brought into the action a bit more, because he does sort of grab what's on the page and go with it. I like him. I like it. What's the character name? Alan Jackson. Yeah, Joseph Milson is the actor, isn't it? Yeah. I like him. I like him, and I think they're good. That's why I'm kind of wondering why they're not in the next series, because I'm thinking what happens to them, because I'm just starting to really like them, and I'm wondering what happens. But
we'll see.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
I like it because I like that the relationship is convincing. He really has the dad thing down.
He's good with the comedy as well, isn't he? He's a bit like Rory. He's good with the action, but he's also quite good at the little comedy one-liners without being too cheesy. Yeah.
Okay, then Alexander Armstrong then as Mr. Smith in this episode, the cackling Bond villain, sort of.
I bet he loved it when he got the script. I bet he was reading it thinking, "Oh, this is." Because everybody loves to play a villain, don't they? They get to. I bet when he was reading it, he's thinking, "Oh man, I get to go. I get to turn up. I get to do the evil laugh and everything." And I think he's great in it. Considering he's just the voice of Mr. Smith, he really takes what's on the page and just goes with it. And I thought he was great, brilliant as evil Mr. Smith.
Absolutely,
especially when he's got Clyde in the room as well. He's like, you're not going to get out of here. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I thought that as well. It's every actor must love playing a baddie from time to time, and he does sort of relish this opportunity, doesn't he? He's
I think so.
He's definitely got the typical,
like you say, Bond villain style computer. Yeah.
Okay, Daniel Anthony, then Clyde.
He's great in this, isn't he? It's a shame he's not in it as much as you'd think, but he's really good in this. He's such a. I like the character of Clyde. You know, he's a bit cocky, but he's got a good soul to him, isn't he? And I love it when he goes round to see Luke, and he just sort of figures this isn't right, is it? You know, and he's great when he's trapped in the computer as well. So I think Daniel does a great job in this. As I said, he perhaps could have been in it a little bit more, but he's very good in it. I think he's good at the comedy as well.
He is. I thought he was in it, you know, as we've been talking about it. We haven't mentioned him very often. It's only the bit where he's trapped inside Mr. Smith. We had the other cool scene where he's in school with Maria.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's go to Luke's address and find out what's going on. Let's just bunk off school. And, you know, he's consistently got that cool sort of bad boy.
Exactly. He's got a bit of a rebel side to him, isn't he? A rebel streak. But he's a good person, and that's what I like about him. Yeah, I like the character a lot.
Yeah. Luke. So this was as a sort of centered around Luke's story. Safe to say. Do you think that Tommy Knight sort of gave a decent performance in this one?
I think he gave a decent performance. I think it's difficult for him because he has to act slightly alien, doesn't he? I know he's not alien, but he has to act as if everything's new and he doesn't understand, you know, why people are doing things they are. And he's got to act naive a lot of the time, hasn't he? Which can only be done so many ways. You can only sort of look startled and, what's going on so many times. And So it must be difficult for him because, normally, so if you put let's say he was just a normal, whatever he's supposed to be, 15-year-old boy, he'd be probably banging down the windows and, "Oi, let me out, what are you doing?" kicking off, wouldn't he? But because Luke's this sort of slightly alien 15-year-old who doesn't know what's going on and wouldn't think, he doesn't think like a normal 15-year-old or whatever. So he's just, "Oh, okay, I'm doing this then." It must be quite difficult for him to have to rein in the performance, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I think he does it well. He's not outstanding in his performance, is what I'm trying to say. But I do think he does it well enough. And I as I said, I'm very intrigued by the character of Luke, of what exactly he is, and how he's going to use this amazing knowledge that he's got, coupled with all the naivety that he's got, if you see what I mean. So yeah, I think he's good in it. Yeah, I do think he's good in it.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job in this one. Like you said, it must be very difficult to play one emotion in several different ways and scenes and so on.
He's sort of got to pretend he doesn't understand the world all the time, isn't he? Which is it's harder to do than you'd think. Because you've just got to look amazed at everything, haven't you? "Oh, why are you doing that? What does that joke mean? Why is that funny?" So it's not an easy task. It probably sounds it on paper, but it's not so easy to act, if you know what I mean, to be that sort of naive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you played that fairly consistently, that,
I think
so far that we've seen throughout series 1 at least. He does play that fairly consistently. The thing that I liked about his performance in this particular story was just how cut up he was at having to leave
Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genuinely did seem quite upset and played that pretty well. But overall, not too bad.
No, he's decent. Yeah.
Maria Jackson and Yasmin Page.
I thought she was very good in this, actually, because I think I said before that she started off good. I think then she got a little bit too comfortable and was a bit sort of wasn't as convincing in her performances, a little bit child actorish, as we've said. But I think she was very good in this. I liked her a lot. I thought her performance was good. I thought she was right up there with the rest of the cast in this one. Really did. Yeah, especially with the scenes of her dad as well. They work great together, those two. Yeah,
I was going to say the scenes with her and Joseph Milson were really, really cool. Really sold the fact that you've got that parent and child thing, because they're obviously, the relationship that's been written for those guys is it seems like they're good friends as well as sort of father and daughter. But in this one, we do have that thing where Alan's very much has to be the dad, not the friend in this one. And as the opposite to that, Maria has to be understanding to a point, when dad says something, that's it. He's my parent, he's my dad, sort of thing. But then she's also got that constant fight. She doesn't come across as rebellious like Clyde does, but she does have that constant worry that leads to she's just eager to sort everything out, and find out the truth, and not even though Sarah Jane was a bit cold with her in that scene where she tries to protect her by pushing her away. She's not having it. She wants to not save that. It's so difficult to explain. She doesn't want to save the day and be the hero, but she doesn't want to. She wants to
get stuck in. Yeah.
And I think that's been written very well throughout series 1, and it sort of culminates in this one with, her sort of those eyes that she gives her dad. He can see that she doesn't have to. He can see that she doesn't have to say anything. It's like, let's get it sorted out. But I liked the performance.
To pick up on what you were just saying there as well, the character's good because she knows the difference between right and wrong. She's a good moral compass in the story, in the gang, isn't she? So I thought she's very good. Her and Joseph Milson, Alan Jackson, they have to kick off the story by doing this recap scene, and I think that immediately drew me in anyway. I thought the performances between the two were really good. So the first sort of few minutes are just them talking about what's been going on so far in this series, and I thought that was a really good way to kick off the episode. So they have to carry that, and I think they do it very well.
Before we get on to Liz Slager, then we have a little cameo, don't we, from John Leeson towards the end.
I know, hurrah.
I knew that you'd love that bit.
I did.
So do you think that was a fitting sort of entrance for K9 to come in and save the day? And
I thought it was perfect, because I've been wondering where he is, because it's a rights issue, isn't it? Apparently, in series 1 they had rights issues, so I don't know if that means they can only use him with cameos or what. But no, it's perfect actually, because we saw him in the start of the series. We haven't seen or heard of him much since. And it was just, I did a little cheer when she finally, because I should have realised as well, because when she's backing towards the safe and trying to unlock it, well, keeping, Mr. Smith talking, I was thinking, what's she doing? What's in that cupboard? And I should have known it was K9, because when he comes out, I was like, yay! So it was perfect, actually. Yeah, he just comes out, zaps the computer, goes back in. I think we might see more of him now. I get a feeling that we see more of him in the next couple of series. I hope so.
I think so.
I don't want to see him too much, but it's great when he makes a little cameo like that. It's just perfect.
Yeah, I think it is a rights issue.
I think it was,
for him not appearing as much as they'd probably like, because he is a cool, obviously he's a great little character.
Yeah,
and there is a bunch of stuff written up online somewhere. You can go and read about the consent from several parties to use K9 and how his character is, belongs to the BBC, and then it doesn't, and then it does, and all that stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a great little scene.
Yeah,
with him, it's because it needed something else as well, because our sort of main cast were at that point where they've done all they can, if you like. Once they get to that point where they're able to use the teleporter to get Sarah Jane into the attic, and he's firing lasers, all the rest of it, because he brings Clyde back, doesn't he?
And also the wiping of the Mr. Smith, that's a bit convenient. So it did need something else, because that's, again, a little bit why episode 2 was just not quite up there with episode 1, was things like that with the wiping the computer with a disc. It's a little bit been done a million times. So I was like, okay. So it needed K9 to come in and give it that extra bump, if you like.
It did.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great little, and obviously John Leeson's always
good.
Always good to hear. Liz Sladen then.
Liz Sladen. Yeah, well, she's great, isn't she, in this? I mean, this pushes her right to the front as well, because, throughout the series, we've got to know our little team, our little gang, and they've all done their own bit, and Liz has been there right in the middle of it. In this story, it pushes her to being on her own again and being, that investigator, that action hero, and she's just brilliant in it. I mean, that, as I said, that first few minutes of episode 2, where she's right in the middle of the action, she's superb. Yeah. And she's always good at the emotional stuff as well. Like I said about when she's on her own on that seat, and she's just, you can see she's been totally beaten down. Mm-hmm. She's let herself, she's opened up to this world, and it's thrown it all back in her face, and she's had to close right back up again as a person. And she's probably sat there thinking, I knew I shouldn't have let people in. I knew I was better off on my own, and all that sort of stuff. And she's just really good at those scenes, I think. Even when she's talking to a blimmin' computer, she's able to project emotion onto the screen. It's just, she's just superb. Yeah.
I totally agree, mate. She's one thing that we said about Liz Sladen is that it doesn't matter whether she's in some of the older classic Who or the Tennant special or this, she's consistent, isn't she? She's always that character through and through. It's not, some characters over time, they can, you can feel like, I preferred, a common saying that you'll hear with certain characters from TV, that shows that have spanned many years as well, in particular, you'll always hear fans say, I preferred so-and-so back in series.
Or I like series 1 Rose, but I don't like series 2 Rose, that sort of thing. Whereas, she's just consistently great. Yeah, exactly
that, mate. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you watch her in the world of Doctor Who. She's always just bang on Sarah Jane Smith every time. And I love that about Liz Sladen. You always know that you're going to get Sarah Jane. Yeah. Completely 100%. So, and this was no different. She was just... She does the emotional stuff so well. She doesn't play this blubbering mess of a woman that's, some sort of breakdown and can't handle it. She's still got that strength there, but you can see that she's affecting the people that she cares about is the thing that's sort of eating away at her. And I just love watching Liz Sladen. I love her. Love.
And it was great just seeing her getting stuck into the action more in this story as well. You know, like she's using the sonic lipstick, she's running around, there's explosions, she's right in the middle of it all. And it's just great to see her push right to the forefront of the story as well. Yeah. And great that her having to deal with the whole losing Luke thing as well, because she's grown, you know, so close to him as well. So absolutely superb, mate. Yeah.
Very cool.
She gets to do that nice scene at the end as well, where they all come together. Something about her voice as well, isn't it? You know, she does a little voiceover.
Yeah.
It's so, I don't know, just something about her as well. Just the fact they come together at the end, looking at the stars, little voiceover from her. Just perfect ending to the episode. Even the mum comes in, doesn't she? And I was sort of thinking, would she be there? Because she doesn't really like Sarah Jane, but I guess she kind of, after everything that's happened, just kind of lets it all go, doesn't she? So she joins the rest of them in the garden. It's just lovely, lovely ending. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting as well that they used a portion of the monologue that she said in episode 1.
Yeah. Repeats it.
Yeah, but I didn't notice at first. I thought it was... It's not until I was doing some research for this that I read that, but I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have remembered the exact wording from
I didn't either. No, it's only because I saw it on Wiki. No, I didn't realise it, but I love the fact they did that because, it just ties up Series 1 so brilliantly.
Perfect. Yeah.
You know, it's a great first series, actually. Really, well, a very enjoyable first series. I wouldn't say, there is some episodes that have been stronger, but I think looking at our scores, it's been consistently good. I've just really enjoyed every story, even ones that perhaps weren't as good as the week before. I've just loved going through this series.
Absolutely, mate. It's and you and I said before, didn't we, that we're just really enjoying watching through Sarah Jane Adventures and just want to put series 2 on. But
I'm amazed I haven't watched these earlier. I mean, I've had these DVDs for a while. I don't know why they've sat on my shelf so long. I don't know if it's because I thought it was a kid's show and I thought, well, I've seen bits of it, and I don't know why it's been sat on my shelf so long, but it feels like, like that saying that I love that you sometimes say of the stars aligning. Yeah. It feels perfect that we're watching these together and going through it, because it feels like the time's right to really get into it. And like you, I could have quite happily have watched series 2 straight after this. Funny enough, I did go on the extras on this DVD. There's a quiz, and if you answer 5 questions in a row correctly, you get to see outtakes from Sarah Jane.
Oh, cool.
And it's so cool. So I was sat there, and it's all questions about Sarah Jane from series 1. And it was really good. So I managed to do 5 in a row. And there was one question I was so torn between the answers, because it gives you a choice of 5 answers. Right. So you get a choice. And I was thinking, oh no, is it that or is it that? And it was really good fun. And then, you get to see some outtakes from the series, which are good. There's one of poor old Jimmy V dressed as the Grask. And he's running down the stairs. You can see he's going to go flying. You just think there's no way he's going to get down those stairs that quickly. And sure enough, when he gets to the bottom, he goes flying across the room, falls over. And the mum's just stood there like, okay, whatever her name is. What's the actress name? The mum?
Oh, you mean Chrissy Jackson?
Yeah. She's just like, oh, are you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Jimmy V's like, I'm fine.
Oh, Juliet Cowan,
yeah. So it's really worth going on, having a look at the outtakes. I don't know if it's the same outtakes every time you get the questions right. I suspect it is, but yeah, it's good fun. Nice feature that. Nice to have a little quiz to get that prize. I love that idea.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we give this our final score?
No, mate. I think we covered it.
A couple of little things I really like that Alan Jackson refers to everything that Maria's up to as the X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just sort of, taking in all this X-Files stuff, and it just sort of perfectly sums up, that sort of modern pop culture at the time. Definitely. Really cool. And I really liked the direction for the majority of this. I thought Charles Martin did a really good job, because there is quite a few locations and there's a few set work, and there's quite a mixture of special effects and visual effects and all the rest of it. And I think it's a decent job. It doesn't stand out as an sort of amazing cutting edge effects, but at the same time, it doesn't stand out as like, oh my God, that's a terrible Sarah Jane for effects. I think it does a really good way of sort of melting everything together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can't think of any there was no point in this where I thought, oh, effects are a bit. Even the bit with the moon, actually, when it's sort of, you can see it behind her coming closer, clearly green screen, but even that looked decent. But no, the direction's very good. I think there's a lot of action scenes in this, and they're very well shot and edited. So yeah, I think done a good job.
Indeed. Right, scores then. Whose turn is it to go first?
I don't know.
I think it might be me.
Go on. Yeah, I think it's you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Ah, snap.
Oh, snap.
yeah, 8.5, mate. Yeah.
Yes.
I nearly gave it a 9. It's nearly a 9. I don't know. It's very good. It's very, very good. I think, yeah, not quite a 9 or 10, but it's a very, very good two-parter. So, yeah, absolutely. 8.5. Yeah.
Yes, same for me, mate. It's a really good, solid story and a really good end to the first series as well.
Oh, perfect ending, yeah.
Yeah, the scene where, because it's not like they've pressed the big reset button, because I know they kind of did that with Mr. Smith. You know, they've erased his data, memory circuits or whatever. So it's kind of like that, but kind of not. You know, it's a result of the story that's happened, you know, the circumstance. So, and it's really lovely ending when they're out in the garden just staring up at the stars. And really
I wonder if they'll readdress the Mr. Smith thing, though, because if it was me, I wouldn't be able to 100% trust him. I know he's been rebooted and his mission is to save the world, but there'd always be a bit of me that would be a little bit wary of Mr. Smith from now on. I don't know if they'll ever reference it or if it'll just be a clean slate. I'm guessing it's going to be a clean slate, but if it was me, I'd always be a bit wary of Mr. Smith from now on. I'd be like,
yeah, I
don't know about you. Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
We shall see.
Yes. But what did our fabulous listeners think? We had a couple of audio clips in. Let's do the first one. This is Sammy Satine from Down Under.
Hey, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the Lost Boy, our Rexacolochrophalopatorian friends are back and skinnier. I'm impressed. Also, who knew Mr. Smith could be so evil? That child Sylvain is obnoxious. Seriously, where do they get these kids from? Anyway, nice to see the Farris Institute again. Also, K9! Yay! I give it 8 evil Mr. Smiths out of 10. See ya.
Cheers, Sammy.
Thank you very much. An 8 out of 10.
Yes, good score.
And we've got our second audio clip, and this is from an old-time friend of ours, Alex Kingdom. Alex Kingdom, he used to send in audio clips without fail.
I know, every week.
Back in the early days when he was a bit younger, so he might sound a bit different, but this is Alex.
Hello, Gary, I'm the Big Blue Box podcast. It's been a while since I've said that. I'm so sorry. I've been away doing college stuff. I don't really have an excuse, really. I've just been a bit lazy. But how are you guys doing? And I'm here to review The Lost Boy, the Sarah Jane's Avengers Series 1 finale. And it's really good. I like it. I think all the characters do well. Especially Sarah Jane and Luke, I think is spectacular. I like the fact that Sladine are back, although I have an issue where I maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's because I haven't seen the episode in ages, and this could be a complete tangent that's wrong. But from my perspective of it, I don't like the fact that the characters are so blind to see that there isn't anything creepy about the family that Luke's gone to, and yet from the start we know something's up by the way they're framed, and for me, I don't like that. I'm much more of a person that likes stories where you figure it out with the characters, but I don't like stories where you like they show obvious signs where it's wrong, like they're evil, and the characters are just so blind to that aspect of their characteristics. I don't get it. I don't get how that's an interesting view of an episode. I think it just comes across as, okay, we're waiting for the end of where they figure out, and it's the Sladine. Apart from that, though, I think the episode's great, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's just that little aspect that niggles me. I'm sorry to have to be negative, but yeah, it's been a while, and I'm sorry I've been away, and I'm going to be back, hopefully, somewhat regularly now. So, sorry guys, please forgive me, and goodbye. Have a nice rest of the show.
Alex.
Welcome back, Alex.
Welcome back, and no apology needed, mate. None at all. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, an interesting thing. So the parents, they obviously looked, relatively genuine up front. So I don't know. It's an interesting one, that.
Yeah, I kind of know what he means. I guess you're sort of waiting for the baddie reveal. Yeah. Well,
thank you very much, Alex. Welcome back. Over on Twitter, Daysken says, I think it could have been a little better, but it was very good. Maybe a little too much, but a good use of all the elements and the season. Everyone had a moment to shine. And the TARDISNet 66 says, from what I remember, it's one of the weaker episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Another Slitheen episode feels rather tiresome. Maybe.
Yeah.
Over on Facebook, Luke Allen says, I loved it. Clever, well written, and has its fair share of plot twists. I wish more shows in the Whoniverse had an episode like this. Joseph Howard said, I bet my 7th Doctor umbrella that you, Gary, and Adam weren't expecting Mr. Smith to turn traitor.
No, I wasn't. Didn't see it coming at all.
Not at all, mate. Anyways, this was a great episode. Loads of character development, plenty of plot twists, and it's good that Luke got his own episode. Hope you guys enjoy Series 2 as much as I did when I was younger. I'm not going to give you any details, but I will say this. There are quite a few episodes that are considered my favourites of the show. Anyway, I'll give this one an 8 out of 10.
I can't wait for Series 2.
Miles McKenzie. A great finale for a great first series. There are so many twists and turns I didn't see coming, most notably Mr. Smith. The cast performances were brilliant, especially the main gang, and they've really gelled together by the end of this. Alan also brought his natural humour to the story and made it extra enjoyable. All in all, very solid 8.5.
Cool, cheers.
Lewis Palmer, a great end to the strong start for the show. I watched this at a young age, and my tiny mind blew up when the Mr. Smith twist happened. Such a good cliffhanger. It deals with some pretty heavy subject matter as well, no doubt cementing on similar news stories that were prevalent back in 2007. Alan gets to shine here. He's one of my favourite characters in the show, and it's great that he knows what the gang does. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, okay.
Charlie Turner, a solid finish to the first series. The twists and the Slitheen and Mr. Smith being evil, and K9 versus Mr. Smith. Wow, it's like a sci-fi take on one of my favourite classic childhood shows, which I loved back then and still love to this day. I discovered Doctor Who. That being Robot Wars. The other thing being Robot Wars. I give The Lost Boy a 9 out of 10. Not perfect, but still enjoyable nonetheless. And lastly, Jason Thayer just says simply, great spotlight episode for Luke, an 8 out of 10. So some fantastic reviews and points there, some really interesting ones. Thank you so much, as always, for giving us a watch or remembering your childhood or your early years of watching Sarah Jane and sending in your scores. Next week, for episode 200... it's back to Classic Who. What have we got next week, buddy?
So next week, get your mathematical stars out. Because it's our 200th episode, so we're reviewing Earthshock.
The 5th Doctor.
We'll never know if he was right. It's going to be... there are some tissues at the ready, because it's a very sad moment.
It is, yeah.
But Earthshock, yeah, Cybermen. That'd be cool.
It will be, yeah. So... yeah, get your DVDs out for that one. Give that a watch, because we'll be asking for your thoughts and reviews as always for that. And I think we're going to do them, mate, for 199.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to us, episode 199. We had some really cool news and merch at the beginning of the show. Make sure you get that Series 19 box set ordered.
Get it ordered, yes.
Especially if you were, 50-50 on Series 12 and you missed out. Don't miss out on this one. It looks very, very cool. And a bunch of new writers and directors for Series 11. It's all going on.
Yeah, it's all ramping up now.
All new and fresh and stuff. So that'll be round the corner and with us before we know it.
Can't wait.
Next week, Earthshock. 5th Doctor, Mr. Davison. Get that watched. And we'll have a cool time next week talking through that. In the meantime, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows on there, plus you can link off to all of the social networks. There's buttons everywhere. You can go and give us a like and a follow and whatever on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We talk loads of Doctor Who throughout the week in between the shows, so get on there and join in the conversation. There's also buttons on there if you want to subscribe to the podcast. You can link over to iTunes and Stitcher and all those things, Spotify. So if you give us a subscribe on there, you'll never miss a show when it lands on a Friday morning. And if you're an iTunes listener, if you could spare us a minute for a review and a rating, that would be marvellous, because that really does help us a lot. So we've had some really good reviews over the past couple of months and really kind words. So thank you to all those that have left reviews and so on. You're all awesome. Head over to Adam's channel on YouTube, The Geeks Handbag. Loads and loads of cool videos from Adam over there. So much cool stuff. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, some really cool new videos as well. The second Doctor Robert Harrop, the Sonic Screwdriver. Before that, we had the 13th Doctor unboxings, the Pop Funkos and Kawaii versions and all that stuff. He's just got so many cool stuff over there. Go and give him a sub. And you're also on Twitter and Facebook and all that jazz, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Yes. Any new videos coming up?
Yep, there'll be one up by the time this podcast go out of the LFCC. You can see which all O's and stuff I got.
Cool.
And what's the other one? Don't know. It's got quite a few. I've been recording a lot. What is it? B&M sets. That's the one. Yeah. God, the brain's frazzled. Yeah, there'll be some reviews of the B&M sets coming up as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Anyways, to end on 199 with no music.
Oh, no.
Let's do it. Until next time, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, actually, let's fix this. Let's fix it. Come on. Let's fix it. To end, 199. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, Allons-y.